Last week, I showed you how to make your songs more exciting using just one chord progression. Today, I want to show you how to make more interesting chord and melodic choices using Novation's Launchkey MK4. Let's dive into it. Got a quick overview, I'd love to show you how I go about using this device in a compositional setting. I start by choosing my scale. In scale mode, you see that you start in C major. Using the first pot, I can control what scale I'm choosing in the major key. I'm going to choose A sharp major. And with the second pot, I can turn this to go through different modes: minor, Dorian, Mixolydian, and so on. I'm going to just choose A sharp minor. The third pot is my favorite. From here, we can go from snap to scale. And you'll hear that in some of those notes, we're playing the same note twice. When we go to that third pot and turn it just once again, we get filter out of scale. Check this out. So what's really great about that is it's actually given me an education on what notes I can't play in that scale. I couldn't do a chord like this. I'm only getting the F. But my favorite is easy scale. This sets all of the white notes of your keyboard to that scale. So now it's really easy to play simple triads and make them sound super in keeping. You really can't put a foot wrong. The next pad over, we have chord mode. This is super expressive, and you can see that we've got a lot of options here. First and foremost, we have some chord choices on the blue pads. This is also going to be reflected in the display. So there's another moment of education here where you can actually start to understand what chord sounds you're hearing. This is a C sharp major, but this is an A sharp minor. To generate different chords, we have two options. On the first pad, we have a huge bank of choices called Adventure. And on the second pot, we had another 8 choices called Explore. Each of these are going to give you different chords. I like to set myself a little bit of a rule to keep things in keeping. First, I adventure to a place where I can find some chords that I like. But from here, I explore. So this one I can continue changing throughout my song. So maybe I'll start on these 2 notes. But once I've recorded that in, I'm going to explore in that area to find a third chord. These pads are super expressive, so if I touch very lightly, I get a more plucked sound with my synth. This is all dependent on your synth settings, but I'm using a nice wavetable synth that's super expressive. So when I tap the pad, I get a darker sound, and when I really hit the pad, I get a much more expressive, colorful chord. So the pattern that I used in the intro to the video was Adventure 3 and Explore 2. So you can see that that pattern displayed on the screen was great for house music. Lots of inversions of the same C sharp major chord, and then down to A sharp minor. In the second half of that video, you also saw me spread those chords to a more wide setting. This is that first chord. Slightly wider, and at its widest. So you can make those second drops or choruses of songs way more exciting. And finally, we can also roll those chords. You saw me do this in the preview of the video as well. So we can get a much more humanistic feel when we start to roll those chords. Over on the right, we have these performance modifiers. They can range from arpeggiators to inversions. I like to use these in breaks and build-ups. We also have bass and chord. I like to use these two interchangeably. And then we have chord split. If we hit the pad options and head over to ARP, this is when we can create different arpeggios based on that scale that we first chose. You can still hear the slightly skippy swing feel that I've applied to this arpeggiator. That's with this second knob here. We have something super straight, something slightly rushed, or something slightly lazy. Over on our third pot, we have the rates. So I'm at 16ths right now. But we can go down to a triplet eighth, or an eighth note, down to a quarter note, and right up to 32nd note triplets. We can also change the tempo, and gate those notes as well. Finally, we have fixed chord. I like to use this if there's a particular chord that I've learned through my chord mappings. I'll select those notes so it looks like we've got the C sharp, the F, and the G sharp here. So now out of scale mode, because I want to make sure that I play the right notes, I'll hold fixed chord, choose the C sharp, the F, and the G sharp here. Let go of fixed chord, and now I can play that chord anywhere on the keyboard. All of these options combined allow me to create so many different sections to my song, but also gives me a lot of choices for live performance. Once again, like the preview to this video, I can start with a simple scale. Then I can head over to my chord map. So over to the chord map, second section of the song. Maybe I want to arpeggiate some stuff. And then we're going to go down. I can, of course, combine that with modulation types as well. Grow things brighter or darker, or come over to my fixed chord option. Sometimes I go a bit too far and add too many notes. Let's see what this sounds like. Easily 4 sections of music right there. Create an intro, an outro, you've got yourself a song. I hope this was super helpful, guys. It's definitely massively inspiring to my workflow. Let me know how you're using the Novation Launchkey MK4 in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation and pick up some tips from you guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see in future, and I'll catch you next time.